how to make your kid a millionaire. Absolutely, in this video, we're going to get into the details. We're going to talk about how your kid can be a millionaire. Mine were a millionaire on paper by the age of 10. Three things we're going to talk about specifically because there are so many. But number one, never pay your kids an allowance. And I'm going to tell you why. How to get your kid to do a 21st century lemonade stand like right now. Like your kids need to be making $50 a day on average. And number three, the value of money and financial literacy is such a serious topic. Let's talk about that. Never pay your kid an allowance. Well, it's sort of obvious, but I'm going to go into the detail. When you pay your kid an allowance, it's like a fixed amount of money, right? $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever that number is, just to hand your kids some money. Because there's no value in that. There was no transaction. There was no agreement other than they live in your house. So it occurred to me really early in teaching my kids to be millionaires, and I have two. I have a 22-year-old and a 15-year-old right now, and we're in 2021 at the end of the year when you're watching this video. And what was interesting is just handing them money. And it's like, oh my gosh, like when you pay an allowance, it's like paying a paycheck. Because a lot of times there's no description, you just get your check every 2 weeks. So scrap that. When Logan was probably 4 or 5 years old, I started making this up. And so there's a certain amount of things you just do because you live in the house. Right, that's just required because you live here. So you have to agree what that is, right? Is that cleaning their room? Is that helping with dishes after dinner? Is that, putting away dishes from the dishwasher? What is that just because you live here part? Then everything else is negotiable. And this is where I think it gets really fun. So I got out this big whiteboard and we made a list. And this is when he was little, like 4 or 5, like literally. And he loved taking out trash. Well, that was funny. My daughter liked it for a minute. Anyway, so she actually loved working events. She loved doing registration cards. She loved interacting with everyone. So you just let them make it up. What do you like to do that you'd want to get paid for? And I need help. Our family needs help, especially as a single mom. So you just start making a task list of everything possible that they're willing to do, that you don't have to like push them and it's not a big negotiation. They just want to do it. So you make a list together and you maybe take a week to do it. It doesn't have to happen like in a minute because a day will go on and a weekend will go on. You think, okay, well, those are other things they could do. And obviously they have to be age appropriate and change every year, if not every 6 months. Then what you do with the list is say, all right, how much money do you want to make? This is exactly what I would do with adults. Adults, your minimum goal when I'm your coach and mentor, it's $100,000 a year. Anything less than that is too substandard for a life, for a business, and to make it. So with the kids is how much money do you want to make? Do you want $1,000 a month? And then do some simple math. Okay, $1,000 a month, divide by 4 weeks is $250 a week, divide by 5 is $50 a day. So what are you gonna do? Well, let's negotiate, right? So what is taking out the trash? What is, clean up the animals? I mean, we lived up in the mountains, so scooping snow, raking leaves. I mean, I don't know, what's your list, right? Cleaning out the hot tub. I mean, I don't know what it is, make your list. And then it's a negotiable. So then there becomes a little homework. They have to go. Now they can go online, Actually, they could still go online when Logan was really young. And they have to see what does somebody that's an adult get paid to do this task? And now they get to negotiate. Because they're not an adult, they're not an expert, but they need some money. So you start negotiating. So instead of saying, don't speak until you're spoken to, don't ask for money because we don't have it, none of those conversations are going to happen in your household anymore. So then you negotiate for the tasks that add up to what they want to make, and away you go. And then every month you review, did they do it, did they not do it, and they get to design their paycheck. Now we're designing them to be entrepreneurs. So this goes on, and then when they get about 10 years old, and I write about it thoroughly in our book coming out in April 2022, Make Your Kids Millionaires. And so as they get to about 10 years old, 12 years old, whatever age you want to put on it, you start doing insurance. And I had very athletic kids, so if they got injured and couldn't do a task, but I was withholding a little bit for insurance, they could still get paid. So just age appropriate, you start building this. And by the time they're in their teens, they should be paid, if they're good, like an adult. For example, tutoring, car detailing, organizing parts of your house, that you'd have to bring in an organizer for. And you say, well, my kids aren't capable to do that. Well, we should probably do a parenting class. I'll teach you that later. That was funny, by the way. But seriously, your kids are responsible. They want to be treated responsible. And if you want to raise responsibly financial literate kids, this is the beginning part. All right, never pay your kids an allowance. Let's go on to the next one. Within never pay your kids an allowance, you want to come up with some businesses. I call them 21st century lemonade stands. So what could they do? I mean, from, oh my gosh, just kids' businesses that my kids had. I mean, my daughter had a slime business. She had an art business. She built these paper wallets that were like designed for certain, currency because we traveled all over the world. My son had a smoothie business. You'd come to our big table facility at a conference center for almost 15 years. He would be our smoothie maker. He's a tutor, ski instructor, you name it. What can your kids do? What can that lemonade stand be? I've had so many kids just recently on their way to millionaire status or became millionaires. Just this last weekend, I had another 21-year-old, met him at 13 years old. He made about $7,000 at one of my workshops when he's 13. He's 21, just became a millionaire. This is possible, folks. This is not just because, I'm Loral and I have a huge database. My clients have their kids become millionaires. By the way, that's our charity, is your kids. And if you don't want your kids, I'll take them and I'll educate them. If you don't have them, you should get them. They're tax deductible. That's all I have to say about that. Why is financial literacy so critical? Number 3. So before I do number 3, which is financial literacy, which is so serious, if you're enjoying this, the book's coming out April 2022. If you're seeing this video afterwards, I don't care when you're seeing it, you need to subscribe. We're going to talk about everything money. So every day I come up with a new video 5 days a week. I'm going to continue this over and over and over. So subscribe, hit notification, please share it with your friends and family. And seriously, if your kids need this conversation or you have grandkids, it is critical. No one's teaching this. So to number 3, why is it so critical? Because no one's teaching it. And there's this illusion that it's going to happen in the school systems. You already see what's happening in the school systems. They're not even going to teach like the stuff your kids need, much less financial literacy, which is a life skill. If you just think about it as an adult, to get up and just move around the planet, you're engaged in between 10 to 20 financial transactions every day, meaning wherever you sleep, you paid rent or you pay a mortgage. You have a car, right? Whether you rent or you own. You have food, you have coffee, you have your phone, you have video, you have everything that you do, your utilities. You say, well, those aren't financial transactions. Yes, they are. Somehow you decided to use a certain vendor. You pay them. It might be on an auto pay, but you're always, every day, you can't walk through life a day without interacting with money. So it's fascinating, isn't it? That no one teaches you about money. You've never been taught, and it won't be taught. So this is your job, parents. If you're going to walk on the planet and you say, I'm going to have kids, you have to make them financially literate. So the book that we're wrote, for those some of you, depending on when you're watching this video, it's 0 to 21. What did we do age by age by age? I write my story as an entrepreneurial single mom, 2 kids, and Kyle Beckman, who's my partner in the book, Air Force fighter pilot, retired lieutenant colonel, 25-year employee, became an expert at trading, and then got into real estate, and then got into our big table and does way more. So here are 2 very different ways and paths that we both made our kids millionaires. Mine were younger, but his were still under 20. When they became and can be millionaires. So now it's generational wealth time. So it's up to you if you want this to happen for you and your family. You can struggle or you can lean in and learn. So financial literacy is not taught. It's actually, the internet has so much discombobulated wrong information. So we consolidated into one book, into one process. Our goal is to put it into homeschool courses for you as the parent to bring it home. So regarding the 21st century lemonade stand, just let me tell you how this really seriously works. Right? So first of all, you need to be an entrepreneur. And if you're not, I'll teach you how to be that. And then you need a company because your company needs to employ your kids. And with that employment, your kid can get a Roth IRA. And then I have an iFlip account. In fact, I'm going to give you the very software that everyone in our community uses to start putting your money away. I do a lot of pro bono work for college athletes. They have an iFlip account and they put money away. I don't care if it's $50 a month. It's the pattern of make it, invest it, make it, invest it. Really important pattern that we start. So I'll give you that link in a moment. But here's what happened when Logan was 18. He got an LLC. And then he signed into more of the LLCs. Now he's my partner. So yes, he went off to university. He's actually getting a finance and accounting degree, calls me regularly to tell me that he's not being taught anything that I teach you out here. He's being taught to be an employee, right? Be a manager of finance, a manager of accounting, not to come back and run a company of finance and run a company of accounting. So it's interesting across the board, this whole financial literacy thing or illiteracy. But now I'm going to give you a little ninja strategy. Is when I go see my son, I now go see my partner. and it's a tax deduction to that company. And yes, we talk about business, and yes, we do it legitimately, and there are IRS codes about how to do all this. It's legitimate, it's in the law, you're just not taught about it. You say, well, how come my accountant doesn't know? Because your accountant just files a tax return, usually a 1040-Z. He's not doing tax strategy. There's 81,000 pages of code in the United States. There's about 3,400 pages of codes in Canada. I'm married to a Canadian, so I know how to do this both ways. There's about 3,200 in Australia. So yes, American has a superior tax code than anywhere else in the world, but your kids need to be a part of this. So that's our goal. You'll be seeing us walking through that process. Excited that you're here for now, and not only until the book comes out, while the book comes out. Again, make sure you subscribe, make comments. What else do you need to talk about? As a parent, once you get into the conversation, what other help do you need? If you don't make comments, we don't know. We can't guess at what you're thinking or what you need to learn. I do know the process to make your kids millionaires. So hope you're enjoying. Talk to you tomorrow.